Okay, it is that time again, and we're going to go ahead and put together the next part of this pure data editor, and we're going to focus now on our oscillator section. And there is a lot more to get through in the oscillators than there is with the filter. So a couple of things I'm going to do. So I've gone ahead and saved this I've gone ahead and duplicated it. So this is my third version of the Pure Data Editor. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Just notice this, there's an error message here. It doesn't really seem to mean anything. If anybody else out there knows what that means, feel free to drop in and let me know in a comment or something. But anyway, I just ignore it. Another thing I want to point out before we get started is I've upgraded to Pure Data 0.54. So there are a few really nice features in the new Pure Data version. I'm not going to get into that in these videos, but it does run a lot better. There's some things that have been updated and changed around that make a whole lot more sense and make Pure Data a lot easier to use. Okay, so here we go. We are here, and this is my here's my main Pure Data file. I'm going to go ahead and rename this. There. And let's go ahead and open that. And that brings you to this. And so this editor is starting to get really big. So here's the filter 1 pages, filter routings here, filter 2 all right here, and then the filter 1 and 2 from the front panel. So no menu diving here. This can all be accessed from the knobs that are at the bottom of the Blofeld synthesizer. Here is our sequencers, 32-step sequencers that control filter 1 and filter 2. I don't anticipating revisiting the sequencer. Again, I may do one for oscillators, and I may not. I'll decide on that later on. I don't know if I really think it's necessary. However, sequencers can be repurposed to control anything on the Blofeld, and all you got to do is change one setting in here, and that is all. You just change the one setting, the one thing that you want to sequence, and boom, there it is. Okay, you've got it. And here, step time or sequence time. It is possible to sequence this with a DAW. It's possible to sequence it with other things or sequence it with MIDI. Or probably the best thing to do working with Pure Data is to have one universal clock, and that one clock synchronize all the other sequencers, and you could make that just unnecessary if you wanted to. All right, so anyway, this is getting pretty big. This is a lot to kind of deal with. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and select. Actually, first I'm going to create a new subpatch, PD, and I'm going to call it filters. All right, and what we're going to do is just take this whole thing. Believe that's it. And cut and paste. Okay, now all the filters or all the filter settings are contained in one nice, neat subpatch called filters. And you can pull that up at any time. Now, the beautiful thing about using pure data is this is entirely, all of it is entirely modular. You can move this anywhere. If you want to if you want to cut things out of the filter subpatch and build your own custom editor for, whatever it is you're working on, you don't need to use both filters. You need to access just one thing. You can copy or cut, you can copy and paste out of there. Probably be best to do something like that. And since everything is saved as abstractions, you could just build your own. You can build your own editor from scratch, own custom editor from scratch, as long as this is here, Blofeld monitor. Yes, and yeah, as long as this is here and you have these, then you can easily do your own custom editor, no problem. The first thing I want to do is I want to create a new folder. This folder, there's a lot of abstractions in this folder. So to keep things kind of organized, I want to do a new folder. And we're going to call this Oscillator. Just Oscillator. Okay. Nothing in there right now. So here are my abstractions. And I can see that I want to do a list for octave so I can write custom settings in there. Balance is just going to be a matter of going from -64 all the way to 63. And it's going to transmit that in MIDI from 0 to 127. So that's just going to be a matter of doing a little simple math to remap what goes out to the Blofeld versus what's displayed. So we're going to start with copying these two right here. Copy and paste. And we're going to take this one, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this and change the name of it to Blofeld Oscillator 1_1 for page 1. And I'm going to do the same pattern that I did for the filters, where I go ahead and do the menu pages first, and then I do everything that you have the control panels for on the front. So let's go ahead and open this. And let's just get some preliminary things out of the way. We want to change all the names of this stuff right here. Now, even though balance on the menu says F1, blah, 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 I just find it kind of confusing to do I find it confusing to try to turn this into a list where you include the F1, etc. There are ways that you can parse messages to where that'll display. I just don't really want to go into all that. Okay, so for octave, we have 8 octaves in all. So let's take a look at our MIDI input monitor and see what comes up. So our lowest value is 16, and if I just scan through really slow, the values are a little bit weird. They kind of skip. Anytime you need to map things, anytime you need to map things, it's good to create an array. So let's go here and let's go ahead and create an array. Actually, let's do it from inside here. We're going to open up our MIDI monitor. And we're going to do some messages here. And I always do the set here in case something gets goofed up. All right, so we're going to start here. Now, there should be a 16 showing up, but it's not. So the first value that shows up is 28, which means the 16 is already there. It's just not retransmitting, which is fine. Okay, so those are all of our values right there. And we're going to create an array. And how many values do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Size 9. And let's do a little more work here. We're going to go 0 to 127. Now, we don't actually need all of that, but that's just kind of I think, a good habit to make. Good habits. All right, and so we need to name it. We're going to go $0 because this is going to be part of an abstraction that we want to be able to reuse. And we'll just call it octave. And we need to get these values into here. So array, set, octave, boom, there you go. Now you've got an array that you can remap all your values to. We'll just give it a happy home right there. Okay, so this is going to be actually, let's bring this over here. And we need to be able to get these values back. So you do that is array get, no, get and let's see, I want to, you can do, I think you can do a message and onset and 1 because we only get 1. I want to see if this works. And it does. Okay, so we're going to change this 0 to 8. In the UI, we also need to do 0 through 8. And this is going to have to be a control out here. And we need to get this number here. So go back to MIDI monitor. And it's controller number 27. Now all we got left is defining these text names. So let's change these names. and save, close. Excellent, and we're done with that. I'm going to close this for now. We're going to come back to it. And let's make one more change here. We're going to go, let's see, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so for the reset value, we're going to make it a default 4. And you can see on the Blofeld synthesizer, it is working. And so let's work on the filter balance. So filter balance is going to be pretty easy. Okay, so controller is 53. Zero through 127, that's what we want. I think I want to leave it like this. I think I like it this way. I could do, no, maybe, I'll probably often go to that, but I might want to hang on to that. So I might want to come back to 64, keep it straight up in the middle. This, on either extreme, it's 100% on one filter or the other. But you may not know how to get directly in the middle with a equal mix of both. So it would be good to have this reset here. So all of this is already set up. And we need to set it up here. So the controller is number 53. Good. And for display purposes, well, no, there are no display purposes. There's no need to change anything here. So here it's middle, and then all the way to filter 1, and then all the way to filter 2. One more time. That's it. So I think we are done with this abstraction. There you go. Okay, so that's one down, and it looks like we have 5 more pages to go. Okay, so we've done our oscillator 1, 1. We're going to move on to oscillator 1, 2. And I've save, of course. Okay, so it looks like Oscillator 2, and I'm page 1, 2 is, and I've already moved towards it. I've already moved to it. So we've got a pulse width setting and a pulse width amount. Okay, so let's take a look at, well, first of all, let's go ahead and it looks like it's one of those 0 through 127 kinds of things. So we can use the Blofeld module for that. And we'll just go ahead and change that now to oscillator. One, two. And pull that up. Okay, and of course, start with the usual cosmetic changes that need to be made. All right, now let's take a look at, I'm looking at the input monitor. Okay, so definitely a 0 through 127 kind of thing here. And knowing that makes our life a lot easier. Yeah, same thing with pulse width. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this patch. This will be a really quick and easy one. All right, for pulse width, let's do our defaults. Our pulse width, we'll do 127. So all the way on here. Pulse width amount, we want 0. So this is a bipolar thing. And if you want to be straight down the middle, it'll be 64. So these will be your defaults here. Now, we got the UI set up and ready to go. Should not be anything weird going on here. So let's take a look. Our first setting, which is pulse width, that's going to be 33. And for pulse width amount, 34. And we're checking to make sure it works. And I can see that it does. And we're done. That's it. Okay, so we're going to move on to page 3 now, and let's take a look at it. Now this is interesting. Oscillator 1, page 3 has a pitch. pulse width modulation source, and an amount. This looks very, very familiar. So it works on system. It works on a system exclusive message, and the pulse width amount, or the modulation amount, runs 0 through 127. This is really familiar. Have we done something like this before? And I believe we have. Let's go to our original. All right, filter. Take a look at filter 1, 2. Mod source. And amount. So take a look at these mod sources here. All right, and look at the same thing in the same thing on the synthesizer. Let's see. It looks like they're identical. Look at that. Yep. They are all the same. It's the same thing. So there's no need to try to build another abstraction from scratch here, because we already have what we need right here. So I want to take this and copy and paste and change the name. Oscillator 1, 3. Okay, now it's ready to go. Now let's change this. This is fine, nothing to do here. The list is going to be the same, so there's nothing to do here. Okay, so let's find out what exclusive message we should use. All right, so all we got to do is change this to a 10, and then controller should be a 34. And what should happen is this should just work. And everything that's here should match what's on the Blofeld here. mod amount. And just quick reminder, why do I not put values here? Why do I not put a number? And for my purposes, I prefer not to have too many numbers, because sometimes you will come to depend on the numbers that you forget to use your ears. What's important is what something sounds like and how it plays, not, exact numbers. And so leaving it without numbers as a point of reference gives it a more analog or virtual analog feel to it. And that's what we want to go for. Of course, if you want, you can always do something like this. I can show you how to come in here and do that. Now, this being bipolar, you can go, we'll do I for int, because we need exact numbers, we don't need floats. And you're going to subtract, you want to subtract 64. And we'll do a number here. Connect these. And now watch what happens. You still have to use the slider, but if you feel like you absolutely have to have the display here, you can do it this way. And now you get the same thing here that you have on the Blofeld. I choose not to do it that way. But if you've been paying attention to my videos, then if you wanted to add that feature, you could easily do that on your own. It's not hard to do at all. And another point I want to make about the videos as I'm making them is it's important to have a little bit of imagination and see the potential in this. If you want to go your own way with it and do something else with it, of course, absolutely, it's your program. You can do whatever you want. So save, and we're done. Easy peasy. Okay, we're going to move on to the next page, page 4. This is interesting. We have limit, wave table, on, off. So on is 0, on is 1. How do I know that? I'm looking here in system exclusive. So it's just a simple on-off switch. And brilliance is also system exclusive. And, that tells you everything you need to know. So on-off, that counts as a list. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this one. Rename Oscillator 1, 4. I want to do something different here. Instead of that, let's do a toggle. And the toggle label will be what is the label? It'll be limit WT. And we need this send and receive signal here, which we'll lift that from here. And we don't need the list because the list is just going to be on off. Well, you have a toggle switch. It's not going to get any more clear than that. We could center it over module 2. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just leave it just like that. So limit is going to be either off or on. So with the X going through it would be on, but off, it's 1 by default. Or rather, it's on by default. So what's going to get weird here is how do we switch it from being 0 to 1 over on the other side? That's going to be the trick. Module 2, let's go ahead and work on this one next. Yep, okay, we're good to go here. And module parameters. Okay, so anytime, this is totally not relevant anymore. We'll leave this as it is. So it only has 2 values, 0 and 1. And I could just make it the, well, here. This over here, and I'll show you how this works. See, so the way this affects that on or off. So this is not, this is the slider here has nothing to do with the UI. It's just, we just keep it there. Text define, don't actually need it. So I feel like, if we don't need it, then we shouldn't have it. But we do have a problem where we need to remap 0 and 1. So for that, we'll do an array, size 2, and properties. And we'll just call this limit WD, just like that. Size 2, and save contents. Whoops. We're going to go, all right, size 2, and okay, wire range is going to be 1 to 0. And so when it returns a 0, it should be on. And for little things like this, you can go 1. There. All right, so we have 1 here and 0 here, which represents off or on. And we're going to do another array. Get and we'll do the message of what to get. And I want to test this out over here. So the default value, which is on, returns a 0. Off returns a 1. So now the values are flipped. That's the wonderful thing about using arrays. I just would rather use arrays for everything. Anytime you have a job where something has to get mapped, that comes in handy. And it will send the remapped value here. That's no longer needed. All right, so MIDI out, and let's get the exclusive message. Let's get the exclusive message for it. And I'm kind of doing things a little bit differently than I usually do. Okay, so we'll get the exclusive message. Wrong. There. And here it is. So I think this is the only number here. The 14 needs to be changed. Let's verify that though. So 240, 62, 19, 0, 32, 0, 0. 14. And MIDI out. So now, when I come here, I should notice on the Blofeld, I should notice change, off, on, off, with the default being on. Okay, and for brilliance, now we don't really have all that we have to go through, so copy, paste. And here it's 16, so we'll change the 14 to a 16. And we can delete that. All right, and let's test it out. And it works. I'm not sure what default value I want for brilliance. I'm just going to go with a 0 for now. And that's it. Oscillator 1.4 is done. Okay, we're about to move on to the next page. Before I do that, I want to check this really quick. So you can start with initialized. And initialized, it is on. So there we go. So moving on to the next page. Save. The next page we have FM source. And we have 12 of them. I don't recall that matching anything because, you know, it's using oscillators as an FM source for other oscillators. So that's not going, I don't think we're going to find anything that's going to help us with that. So no shortcuts here. FM amount is, you know, controller value 0 through 127. And here it's 12 values 0 through 11. So that's going to be another one of these with list. Going to do a little cleanup here. I meant to do that. The more consistent things, the more consistent you are with doing, even just something as simple as naming something is going to make things a lot more clean and efficient. All right, so usual pattern, open, properties, this is FM source. And and FM amount. No. Looks good. Now, this should be 0 through 11. 0 through 127. Good. That looks fine. All right, so the UI is ready to go. Yep, that's fine. Names. Yeah, there's only 12 of them. And we're good. So let's change our parameters here. And we know this one already is system exclusive. All right, so it's number 6. All right, so we need to check this. That should be... That's good. And now that's good too. Okay, and for the other setting, easy peasy. Look at that. Controller number 30. And it should already be set up for us. And there you go. All done. Okay, we're finally on to page 6. So moving on to page 6, let's see, let's take a look at it here. Okay, key track goes minus 200% to plus 196%. All right, let's take a look at it over here in the MIDI. So it goes 0 to 127. So that one, we can pretty much leave it alone. That's going to be an easy one. What about the bend range? So we go from minus 2 octaves to plus 2 octaves. So looking here in the system exclusive window, we go from 40 to 88. All right, so not too terribly difficult. We're going to use a plain old generic module and duplicate that. Rename it. And open. Now you have the usual things that need to be done. There we go. So far, so good. This one should already go 0 to 127. Bend range will go 40 to 88. And there's nothing left to do here except, well, we should do, let's do some, defaults here. Looking right here. So key track, we want pretty much 100%. You know, in other words, yeah. In other words, octave. So by default, it should be a 96. Bend range. Bend range, let's see, let's do plus 2. Plus 2, so that'll be a 66 here. And yeah, we're done with that. Now, let's get into these parameters. So the first one we'll leave alone. This one should match what was here in bend range. So lower 40, upper 88. And that's all we have to do here. Or all we have to do with that. Now, these are both system exclusive messages. So we need to tackle this one first. Open. Copy. Paste. And this right here will be the number that changes. And same thing for module 2. And it's the same thing. So all we got to do is change this to a 4 here. And that's it. Now this won't do because it's not going to control. It's got to go to raw MIDI. System exclusive messages go out to raw MIDI. And I believe all right, let's try this one out. Perfect. And perfect. And that's it. That is page 6. And we are done with Oscillator 1.